Okay, everyone,
Nice.
we're almost set. This is loading, so we can go live. What's going on? Hopefully, we are.
Oh, Steve.
Yep, we're live. Awesome.
Oh, okay.
So, with that in mind, now, welcome, guys. Thank you for joining to Lauren and Mark, who are over here on the Zoom meeting, and for everyone who's checking us on YouTube and Facebook.
Sorry.
Welcome to today's workshop. No worries, Miguel. My name is Juan. I'm here with Miguel. We're instructors at the GuitarZoom Academy, and today we're gonna be talking about chord progressions in order to kickstart your songwriting. So, Miguel, tell us a little bit. Also, how are you today?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Great. I'm pretty excited to extend these lessons to YouTube and Facebook. We've been doing this in our community and school, the the free school uh, GuitarZoom school page, and so yeah, it's awesome to extend these lessons to a wider range of people. So very excited about that. And yeah, so chord progressions, right? So when we are writing songs and we maybe we know a couple of chords, right? We know a few major chords, a few minor chords, but we don't know how they connect with each other, how how they sound together, and we're just maybe trying whatever chords we know, putting them one after the other, without having much to think about the relation of the chords. So that's what we're going to talk about today. A few chord progressions, how you can maybe take this same relationship between the chords and take them to different keys. So yeah, I was thinking that we could maybe start one with what do you say? Should we do first kind of a theory background, or let's start with a chord progression, then we add the maybe the
I think a theory background could work. I just before talking any further, I would like to leave the link for you guys to invite you to apply to our academy. I left it on the Zoom chat. I for now don't know how to access the other chats, but I'm gonna say it out loud. It's link.guitarzoom. Sorry, I'm gonna increase my volume before I say the whole link. Thank you, Mark.
yeah. I think you're a little bit more softer.
Hope I'm better now.
Oh yeah, much better.
So yeah, it always slides down and I forget to slide it up. Also, welcome, Colin. So yeah, I was saying the link for applying to the academy is link.guitarzoom.com/start hyphen now or dash now. So that's if you guys are interested into joining the academy, you can apply there and we can have a deeper conversation into how this works, what we offer, what's the cost, all of that stuff. We can talk over there. And yeah, you're not late, Colin. We're just getting started. So we were just saying that we're gonna talk about songwriting and a couple of chord progressions. I would like to do a theory kind of background first. So what do you have in mind, Miguel, for that?
Yeah, look. So let me see if this works. I have here my whiteboard. So let me share this with you. Okay. So I have here. This is the major scale, right? So we have C, D, E, F, G, A, B. So from each note of the scale, we can build a chord. So for each degree of the scale, we call this first degree, second, third, four, five, six, and seven for each note of the scale, the seven note of the scale. So today we're not going to go that deep into the theory of how these chords are built up and why do we have this exact order. For now, just trust us that these are the chords that belong to the major scale. And just having this, if you compare this to most of pop and rock chord progressions, you will find that most of the time you will have one of these chords. You can fit that chord progression within these 7 chords. So this is what we're going to use as a starting point. And yeah, what do we show an example? For example, let's pick 4 of this chord or 3 of these chords, and come up with a chord progression that we can use. So for example, a very classic chord progression, kind of simple. It's we can write it like this. So talking about the numbers of the degree. So a 4, a 1. For example, let's say 1, 5, and 4. And if we compare that to this scale, we can get, let me go back here. So the 1 will be C major, the 5 will be G major, and the 4 will be F, for example. It sounds like this. For example, what if we I was thinking of a song with this chords, with this chord progression, but it's in a different key. So for example, Knocking on Heaven's Door has this same progression, but in the key of G. So in the key of G, this will look like this. It will be G major, the 5 will be D, and the 4 will be C major. Sounds like this. So right, so these are the kind of we could say kind of the main degrees of the major scale. We find other chord progressions that have this, the 1, the 4, and the 5. For example, the blues. It's built with these exact degrees of the scale, the 1, the 5, and the 4. What other kind of classic progression comes to mind, Juan?
Well, hold on, there's someone in the waiting room. The 12-bar blues is very go-to for me, because what you just said, it has the 1, the 4, and the 5th. I'll expand a little bit on that in a second, but yeah, another one that comes to my mind is a turnaround, which is on the key of C major, 1, 6, 2, 5. That's a turnaround.
Right.
It's a progression that you can loop over and over, and that's the basis for a lot of songs, especially from the 20s to 60s, like from swing, blues, jazz to R&B to Motown records and all of that stuff. That progression was very, very present. So that's a progression I really like. So yeah, that's 1, 6, 2, 5.
2 and 5, right?
Yep.
And in the key of C will be
C major, A minor,
A
D
minor,
minor,
D minor,
and G.
and G.
Yep. So that's another progression that I find really useful for just getting out melodies, ideas. That's a progression that works on its own. Now, yeah, do you have any other progressions in mind right off the bat, Miguel?
Yeah, I'm thinking that also just with these four chords, for example, if you change the order, just by changing the order, you kind of get a new progression. So, for example, I can take the same exact chords, but instead of playing 1, 6, 2, and 5, maybe we can start with the 6. Let me change color. So let's start with the A minor. So for example, A minor, D minor.
Then C and G. That can sound
It's
funny.
C and G, for example. So
Sounds so cool. That's a song already.
right.
There we have the basis for our song.
It sounds a little like "Don't Cry" from Guns N' Roses. Those first
Yep.
two chords.
Exactly. So that's it. Yeah, we have this inverter, right? So this,
Yeah, it's G and C, but
like this.
exactly. But look, we got a very different result out of just changing the order of those
Just
two.
the same chords, right?
Yep. Yeah, that's a cool observation. So yeah, that's one thing we can take a look when writing our own materials. We can play with the order of our chords, and that already is a technique for variation. Another one can be to play with the time signature, right? It's different to play this on 4/4, which would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Then maybe 3/4. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. We can play with the speed as well. Maybe if I were to think of punk rock, I would think of something faster. Right? Versus maybe a ballad. Right? So those are variables we can play around with the same chord progression. Context is also key. Do I want something energetic? Do I want something chill? Do I want something dark or maybe brighter? All of those are variables we can think of which are not related to harmony itself. So with that in mind, with what we have mentioned so far, are there any questions or is this making sense, guys? If you have any questions or comments, please raise your hands or let us know in the chat over here on the Zoom meeting. Hopefully by next time we have access to YouTube and Facebook chats as well. Also,
I have
the
the
one.
chat. I'm not sure if it's YouTube or Facebook, but I think I have. I think this is YouTube. I
Okay.
see Carlos. I see Yak. I see
Okay, that's
Jay
cool.
Murph. Guitar
Yeah, guys,
guy.
if you have any questions, throw them in there. I'll also take a look to see if I can open it right here. Also made the relative minor, says Mark. Yep. Right there, we changed keys, right, to C major to A minor. Not really, but also yes, really, because we're starting on that A minor, so it feels more like a stronger arrival when we get there than to C. So yeah, also that's a very important point to take into account. Are we playing over a major or a minor key? That's extremely useful for what do we want to express. It's not the same thing to play something that starts or ends here, right, on a C major. Versus this sounds a little sadder or darker. So what's the key really makes a difference as well. Now, before moving on, guys, I wanted to share this with you. So I do a lot of music writing, and I like making beats and producing music in general. This is a little bit more of the side, but I just still wanted to share this. This is a clip from Pharrell Williams and Justin Timberlake on studio working on Justin's Justified, his debut album. So I just thought this was very cool.
That was it. That was it. That was it. What? It's better now because you don't have to admit you wanna play, let me rock you into the break of day.
So songwriting also has a lot of spontaneously to it. I don't know what's the word, but like doing stuff right on the moment and trying to come up with stuff. That one, spontaneity. Coming up
Thank you.
with material. Yeah, thank you, Mark. Coming up with material right on the spot. Not because it should be like that, but I just feel intuition plays a huge role on music writing and composition in general. Just what's the most natural for you. Now, with that in mind, we can listen to that or willingly not and do something different. But I feel that's a good criteria as well to writing. Now, let me expand on that. So, Miguel was showing us like a, let's say, chord chart, not really chord chart, but a list of chords, right? So he had his C major, D minor, E minor, well, all of the chords of the C major scale harmonized. So these are the triads we end up with. The seventh is diminished and back to first. Now let me write the numbers real quick. Also, this is maybe a little bit of a different system for naming than the one Miguel used. On this one, although I'm using Roman numerals as well, as you can see, I have both lowercase and uppercase letters. That indicates, on this system I grew up with, that indicates if a chord is major or minor. As you can see, the ones that are uppercase are major chords. The ones that are lowercase are minor, and the diminished triad is indicated by this little degree symbol or that little circle right there. So yeah, if this is major, the number is major, and so on. Now, what I wanted to say with this, and this is a longer conversation, I just want to touch on it a little bit, is a concept called functional harmony. I'm gonna just write it with my keyboard. Functional harmony. So that's the name of this concept in case you guys want to dive deeper into that. But that basically suggests that there are three functions. Chords on a specific key belong to different functions. So the first one is called, where is it? Tonic. So tonic is like the most stable chord of the progression we can be at. So when you hear something like this feels like something resolved, right? Like I arrived somewhere. This feels like home a little bit. So that's the tonic function. It's like the most stable chord you can have, or think of it like this little house drawing I'm doing right here. So yeah, tonic is the first one. The second one is called subdominant, but I'm gonna expand a little deeper in that one in a second. So subdominant. The last one is called dominant. So dominant is exactly the opposite end of tonic. Dominant is the most tense place you can be in a chord progression. So for instance, if I stay there, obviously I can, but if I stay here, my ear wants me to resolve somewhere to tonic, right? This asks me to go somewhere else. So dominant is like just a whole mess. Think of it, if this one was a house, this one is just a mess, just a lot of tension going on. And this one, subdominant, is like a middle ground. It can feel a little bit tense, but not as tense that wants you to resolve right away, but also doesn't feel as stable as the tonic. So on this progression from Don't Cry, look. can stay on this D minor and doesn't sound tense, like it sounds like a thing on its own, but doesn't feel as stable as, right? Or also, this one feels more tense than D minor, right? So the function of subdominant is kind of a middle ground to go either here, or you can stay here and it will sound a little bit stable. So I wanted to have this little conversation on functional harmony. This is a deeper topic, so if, in case you guys want to check that out, take a look at information online or join the academy, but we'll mention that in a second. But yeah, I just wanted to say that because I feel functional harmony is an extremely powerful tool for songwriting, because it allows you control by identifying what level of tension do you want to achieve. If I want something very tense, I'll go into a dominant. If I want something maybe a little less tense, I'll go into a subdominant. So let's do an example on maybe one of the chord progressions we explored a second ago. Actually, I'm gonna leave that there for reference. Let's take a look at Knocking on Heaven's Door. So that was G major, right, to D major, to A minor. This is on the key of G, so I'm gonna transpose this to the key of C major so we can have this very same reference on chords. So it starts on C major, which is the first, then goes to the fifth, which is G, and then goes to the second, which is D minor. And that's repeated. And this repeats again, but the last time, instead of going into D minor, it goes to F major, which is the fourth. So Miguel, can you please play that?
Sure.
That's it. So look, if you resolve to C, it feels like you got home, right? So the numbers on this progression are these ones: 1, 5, 2, and then 1, 5, 4. Now look at this. The functions of this are on the tonic we have the 1. That's the one that feels the most stable. Let's actually do something, and it's gonna be to assign colors. So I'm just gonna take several steps back so I can do my color code here. So for me, tonic will be green, subdominant will be blue, and dominant will be orange. Kind of a temperature increase. So tense is more reddish, and something cooler is blue or green. So with that in mind, tonic is 1, dominant is 5, and subdominants are 2 and 4. So the most tense stuff on this progression is this G, right? So what happens if we want to play around with that? Instead of doing a dominant here, I want the progression to lead the tension towards this G right here. That's what I'm gonna do to change things up. So if I want the tension to feel stronger here, I need to get rid of this one. So I'm gonna replace this G major on the first stuff. So for that, I'm just thinking of random stuff. I'm just gonna try to play another chord. Right off the bat, I will think A minor, because A minor, which is the 6th, can either be tonic or subdominant. I'm gonna actually write it on the two colors because it can be both. It feels stable, but it also feels like it's going somewhere else. So let's try this progression to see what mess I made over here. since I changed this G, at least I didn't feel this point as very tense. And that allowed me to build tension to get to this G. This one for me felt very strong. I'm gonna play that again and try to pay attention to that, guys, to see if you can catch it. So I was saying all of this because functional harmony, I feel, is a very powerful tool to start changing up your chord progressions and to control how much tension or release do you want to achieve. On the other end, for example, we could replace, let's take it several steps back. We could replace not the dominant, but maybe this tonic. So I want to play the progression and make it build up, so when I land into the tonic again, it feels stronger. For that, I'm gonna replace this one over here. So maybe a chord I can use right there is again A minor. Just thinking of stuff right off the bat, that's a chord I would use right there, A minor. So again, that works both as a tonic and as a subdominant. So I'm just gonna leave it on both colors, and let's play this. This felt sadder, right? That D minor to A minor for me felt very, very sad, which by contrast made it much brighter when I got back to C major, to the original tonic. So those are some options. This technique is called reharmonizing. Those are some options that I would suggest right off the bat to get into this. This helps songwriting because you can get creative with where are you placing your chords, how much tension or release do you want to build, do you want to follow your intuition to go to most natural places, or do you want to deceive that expectation and go somewhere else like we just did. We changed some chords and the expectation changed a little bit. So yeah, that's a tool I wanted to just explore right here. My sound is very muddy, sorry Mark, and thank you for letting me know. Maybe the guitar gain is too high, but yeah, with that in mind, guys, is that making sense? Are there any questions so far?
Yeah, for me, that learning the functional harmony, it's kind of key, because yeah, then it allows you to move around things. So maybe a chord progression that you already know, you can change one of the chords with another one with the same function. So tonic by tonic, or dominant with another dominant, and that can expand a lot your chord progressions.
Yep, and actually that happens on that progression. It has, thinking of the key of C major, it has C major, G major to D minor. That's one subdominant. And then it repeats C major to G major, but the other subdominant at the end is F major. That F, I feel, is more dramatic or more expressive. The D minor sounds sadder in comparison for me. Also, that's a thing that I like to encourage, and it is, at least for me, it works. So I try to encourage that in my students. Try to assign subjective adjectives to these chords, because at the end of the day, this is not only music theory, but music, right? These are sounds that make you feel something. So I always like to link the emotional feel that I get out of the material I'm studying. So it doesn't just stay just as a bunch of letters on a whiteboard, but it actually means something and makes me feel something. So that's also an exercise I would say. Maybe take a listen at songs that you like and try to describe how each chord sounds for you and how does that feel. And then you can use those adjectives to replicate that on your own progressions. If I want something dramatic, this chord worked, so I'm gonna try to use it. Or if this sounded joyful, whatever word you want to use, you can bring that to your own compositions. So yeah, with that in mind, guys, I'm just gonna do a little pause. I'm gonna leave you over here in the chat again the link for applying to the academy. If you feel like this kind of interactions are something you could take a hold of, we do this kind of lessons every day, right, Miguel?
Yeah, 5 days a week. Well, 6 days a week.
6.
Six actually,
Yep.
Saturdays included. And yeah, and besides the lessons, we give personalized feedback. We have also open rooms so that we are available for an amount of time, and everyone can join and ask their questions, interact with other students, with other instructors. Besides the live lessons like this one that we give every day, every week. So yeah, if you are getting some value out of these lessons, consider applying. Click on the link and see what is this all about. We'll
Yeah,
be happy to see you there.
trying to join the Facebook chat right now, but in the meantime, that's link.guitarzoom.com/start-now for you guys if you want to apply. And yeah, what else comes to mind, Miguel?
Yeah, now I'm thinking, now that we know a little bit about the functions, for example, let me go back to my whiteboard with the chords. Yes. So we know that now that, for example, the 5, it's our dominant, right? What was the color that you were using? It was the orange, right?
Yep.
So got to use your same colors. And for example, one thing that is good to know that this is the 5, that it creates a lot of tension that wants to resolve usually to a 1. So we can take that same concept of having a 5 that resolves to a 1, some tension that release and resolve in a tonic, and apply it to any of these degrees. So we can find a chord that has the function of dominant for D, a function of dominant for E, for F, for G, and that can expand a lot our options for chord progressions. So we know that the 5 of any chord has the function of dominant. So I can look for the 5 of any of these chords. So for example, in the case of C, we have G. In the case of D, we'll have A, and like that. So we'll have B, and we'll have C, D, then E, and F. Well, in this case will be F sharp, but always the 7 is kind of special. So for example, if maybe the same progression that we were playing before, or let me see. I'm thinking, for example, C. We have progression. There's C, and let's say then we were going to the 6, right? To A minor. C to A minor. So before going to this A minor, we could add the 5 of A minor. So A minor, we can add that E, because this E has a function of dominant. So create tension that can resolve in this chord. So we can add here, before that A minor, we can add a E major, and then an A minor. So a chord progression that was, let me show. So C, can sound like this. this chord, the E major, is a chord that it wasn't available in the first place in these 7 chords. So you see all these chords are major chords, and A in this case was minor, B we have here a diminished, D is also a major chord, that here is a minor chord. So we can expand our options of these 7 chords by adding this dominant function for each one of the chords. Oops. So yeah, and then there are kind of classic ones. So for example, this one going to the 6th degree of the scale is very common. For example, you have songs like and then for example from here, you could go to a 2nd degree, and that is this, right? We're going here to a 2, and to go to this 2nd degree, we can again include that dominant chord that is an A major. So in this case, we will go from A minor to A major. So it sounds like this. For example, and then we can continue, go to other places. So yeah, that little trick of the secondary dominance, that's the term for these chords. It can really expand our chord progression, and these are chords that are very common in pop and rock. We found this secondary dominance. So it might sound like science, but it's actually something that it's super common and that we hear in a lot of famous songs.
Yeah, it's such a powerful tool that actually gives me an idea, and it is to complicate something easy, but not really complicated. It's just to add secondary dominance to make it cooler or just a little bit tenser. So I have a piano right here, just for reference. Let me just see if I'm sharing that. So in case you guys don't know how to read notes on the piano, it's pretty easy. It has white and black keys, right? For now, we're just gonna focus on the white ones. They are C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and C, okay? Now, what I want to do with this is just count 5 notes. So for instance, if we're doing a C major chord, we have C as our root, right? So 1, and starting on that number 1, I want to count 5. So C, D, E, F, G. G is the 5th. That's exactly what Miguel was just explaining, just fifths up from a specific root. Now, with that in mind, let's explore this progression. This was one that I mentioned earlier, which is called a turnaround. So C major, A minor, D minor, and G major. That's a turnaround on C. Sorry. Better. So the numbers we were using was C is our tonic, A minor, let's say that it's subdominant. Before I just realized I wrote it as a 4, but it's a 6. Then we have our D minor as 2nd, that's subdominant, and the dominant is the 5th, which is G. So I'm gonna play that. This sounds like this. Also, let me know, guys, if this sounds better. I lowered the gain, so hopefully
it sounds better.
Awesome. So yeah, that's a turnaround. Now, check this out. So let's say that I want to emphasize this one right here, that G. So I want to build tension from here to make this resolution stronger. So I can change this chord for a secondary dominant, what Miguel was saying, to G. Let me just check the chat real quick. Oh yeah, it sounds better. Thank you, Mark. So yeah, I want to make this one a dominant for this dominant chord. It's like just doing a little parenthesis in which this is like the new key, just that we're gonna emphasize on that moment. So Miguel was saying that in order to get there, we need to count 5 to the note we need to get to, right? So if we are on G, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The fifth one is D, right? So that's the note we're gonna have right here. However, look at this, what Miguel was just explaining. The new chords we had on that new chart on secondary dominants were all major. That's because that a dominant chord tends to be major. So we can replace this D minor for a D major. So I'm gonna do a little bit of an alternate reality here. Also, for the guys that are really into theory, such as me, since we're turning this one into a dominant chord, the naming of this one, instead of being 2, is gonna be fifth of the 5th degree. That's because G, A, B, C, D, right? And this is the 5th of the 5th chord in our key. Hope that's not confusing. If it is, just ignore that and let's just pay attention to the D major. So look, I'm gonna play the progression above, which has the D minor, and then the progression below that has D major. So could you guys tell how that D major builds up tension to get to that G major? That's using secondary dominants. Now, check this out. We can expand this further. So I want to emphasize now, let's do again an alternate reality. So instead of emphasizing the G, I want to emphasize on D minor. So I need to count 5 from D minor, right? So this is our number 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That 5th is gonna be A, right? Now again, the A that we have over here is minor, and the one we need to make it dominant is major. So we're just gonna do this, and the name of this one will be now 5th of the 2nd. I don't know, I'm a native Spanish speaker, so that's the way we named that over here. I don't know if this has a different way of naming it in English, but at least I'm absolutely sure that it's written this way, like a 5/ and then the chord you're getting to. So I'm gonna play this one and then this one. That's how the 5th of the 2nd sounds. Sorry. It adds tension there. Now look at this. We can actually start mixing them up. So it builds a chain of dominance on this specific progression. That's something that happens a lot on jazz or blues standards. They, instead of playing a regular turnaround, they start to add tension to all of them. And now look, instead of having green, blue, blue, orange, we have green to all oranges, just a lot of dominants together. So that sounds like this. Sorry, again. That's the sound of that. So we went from to right? It adds tension. So secondary dominants are also a very fun way of adding tension and spiciness to your chord progressions. Actually, I just wanted to, just before wrapping my intervention up, I wanted to share with you guys the progression of a song I was learning last night. it had the following progression. Again, I'm gonna write this on the key of C, so it's easier to think of. It had this. This chord is called half diminished, the minor 7, flat 5. I'm not gonna explain that, that's another conversation, but it was like this. Hold on. I need to play on the original key, sorry. Yep. So yep, A minor to D major, then it played F sharp. Well, I'm writing the bars wrong. I'm just gonna pay attention to the chords. That was the whole progression. Let's assume that I wrote just the chords. So this sounds like this. Sorry, too loud. Now, what I find interesting over here is this one. Actually, I think it's more obvious if instead of doing this F major, we do it minor. So look, what's going on over here is the following. C is tonic. B minor 7 flat 5 is a subdominant. Let's call it 7th. Diminished. And E7 is a dominant. Then we have A minor as a subdominant. Well, this is actually, sorry, this is 5th from 6th. The D major is a 5th from the 5th, which is exactly the chord we had a second ago on that turnaround, that D major. This goes to D minor, that is a subdominant, and then to G, which is a dominant, to C. So I'm gonna play all of that. Sorry, like that. So 3, 4. So what I find interesting is the change from D major to minor. This sounds like D major to D minor. This one's very tense, and this one is more natural. I'm gonna play that one more time. So secondary dominants are a very cool tool, and they appear, as Miguel was saying, on songs all of the time. This is a song from a genre called salsa, so they appear everywhere. Jazz, blues, pop, R&B, whatever you can think of, they will be there. With that in mind, guys, are there any questions? Is this making sense so far? I now can see the YouTube chat, so also let me know, guys, if this is making sense. Or if you have any questions, maybe do you have
the guys
any...
were commenting that this lesson was going deep.
Yeah,
because
just saw
it's
that.
deep but very interesting. Yeah.
That's great.
So yeah, and we are just touching the surface of this. Yeah, we can go much deeper with this.
Yep. But yeah, I hope, guys, this is making sense. Let us know if there are any questions or comments there. Miguel, do you have anything to add to this little comment I made on the turnaround?
Maybe I just wanted to share another progression that I also love and I play recently, and I think is this one. So again, this is in C, the key of C, and well, here we have the chords of C. Here we have the dominants for each chord. So let's see what it is. So let's with this one. So the C will be the 1. Or let's skip this B7 for now. The E minor, we have it here, so it's the 3rd chord. And then we have D minor and G. Here we have D minor, 2nd, and here we have G, the 5. So we have here 2 and the 5. So what is this chord? So here we have a B, but it's a B diminished, right? So B, it's coming right before this E minor. We have it here. So B, it's the 5 of the 3rd in this case, right? So we will write it like this, 5 over the 3. Right, so we're playing the dominant of the 3rd, right? We're solving here. I'm gonna play this progression, and I'm sure you will recognize more than one song. There's one that's very famous with this progression. That's the dominant, secondary dominant, resolving to the 3rd. So we have kind of a very simple progression. We have 1, 3, 2, 5, but adding just one of these secondary dominants can really spice up our progression without having to go that deep into secondary dominant and weird chords, right? That's the good thing, to kind of find the right chord, the right combinations, and kind of like cooking, right? So you have a very simple pasta dish, but adding the right spice, it can really bring up all the flavors of.
Yeah, and look, that progression, I can think of 2 songs right away. Actually more, but maybe very well known. The first one is Just the Two of Us by Bill Withers, or
Exactly, yeah.
is it Bill Withers? I don't remember, but
I think it is, yeah.
right? Also, one by Daft Punk called Something About Us. I don't know on what key, but and so on. So same progression, 2 different songs, right? And we could go on and on. Mark mentioned Rock, Judged. I don't know the pronunciation. Don't know the song, but probably, most likely, has the same progression. Yeah, and we could go on and on exploring that one. Oh, genre. Yep, exactly. So there's a lot of instances where we find these concepts being applied. Now, lastly, I just wanted to share with you guys, now that we have just a couple of minutes left. Let me see. In the meantime, I'll just leave you the link while I look for the stuff I was looking for. So again, guys, just as a reminder, this is the kind of interactions we do every day over here on the Academy. We do, apart from live interactions and classes, we do personalized assessments to every student's interests and needs. And we are very, let's say, intense, not really intense, but you get the point on that. You guys are very structured with your goals and are accountable on working towards them, and not on something else that might be not so specific for your objectives. So we are always checking on you. We do weekly checkups to make sure that you're on track with your goals. In case you guys feel like that's something you could take a hold of, or that's a good fit for your process right now, please consider joining the Academy. I just left the link on the Zoom chat, and now I'm gonna leave it on the YouTube chat as well. There it is. Now, yeah, lastly, I just want to share something real quick with you guys. So I'm going to open YouTube in a second, but in the meantime, check this progression out. So this is an arrangement I made for a tune I really, really liked from a band from my country, and the progression goes like this. So it's B minor, F sharp minor to E minor, and that's the whole thing. It goes like this. Now, I enjoyed the song a lot, and I thought since the harmony was so repetitive and simple, quote unquote, because it's already very good, I just thought I could play around with that. So I made this little arrangement with my group, and check this out. Almost there. Yeah, and I was just very, very happy to post this. So I'm gonna play a little bit of the normal progression and then the reharmonization with it. Maybe here? Yep, right there.
Nublado, el clima ha cambiado, nado, que el tiempo se ha acabado, cambio, la nostalgia de perderte por la gracia de conocerte ya, y guardo la sal de mi llanto, espanto, por miedo a sentir algo resguardo, todo lo que ha pasado, pero tengo que perderte ya.
That's the original harmony. Now let's check the reharm. It's more or less right here. Actually here.
Igual si suma si duele mal, pero al tronar la lluvia lava mal. Nublado, el clima ha cambiado, nado, que el tiempo se ha acabado, cambió. La nostalgia de perderte por la gracia de conocerte ya. Y guardo la sal de mi llanto que espanto, por miedo a sentir algo resguardo todo lo que ha pasado, pero tengo que perderte ya. Nublado, el clima ha cambiado, nado, que el tiempo se ha acabado, cambió. La nostalgia de perderte por la gracia de conocerte ya.
So yeah, Miguel was clapping right there. So
Wow.
used chords from the key just in a different order and played around with making them longer or shorter, and we got a very different result, right? From do 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 do. That was just playing around with functional harmony, with replacing functions, and with just listening to my intuition, where I wanted to take these chords like just without thinking too much. So yeah, I'll leave you with that, guys. That's something we can do when we learn this kind of stuff. We have a lot of control over the harmony we're using and can get a lot of different expressions out of that. With that, guys, I'll leave you. Thank you for your time. Miguel, do you have maybe something else to add to today's lesson?
Yeah, that was really cool, Juan. Thanks for sharing. And yeah, I agree, Colin. For me, it went also very quick, this lesson. Yeah, what were those new chords? Yeah, I'm curious too, but I guess we'll have to leave it for for a new session.
Yeah, I'll
maybe
post the I'll post the sheet music or the screenshot on the Zoom group. Sorry, the school group. Okay.
That would be cool. Yeah. Maybe just add that, let you know, guys, that we're doing these sessions twice a week. So if I saw in the comments that for many of you it was your first time in our lessons, so we'll be doing this twice a week. We're doing Tuesdays and Thursdays, pretty much the same time every day. Every week. So yes, just stay tuned for that. We'll be announcing the topic and the exact time and date a few days before, in advance. This Thursday we have one. It will be hosted by the other instructors, Manuel and Victor, and they'll be actually doing a special lesson on Ozzy Osbourne, Black Sabbath music. So yeah, be sure to check our socials: Facebook, YouTube, school, and Thursday. Check the exact time. I think it will be the same time as this one
Probably,
on
yeah.
Thursday. But and yeah, and again the link is there in the chat. So be sure to click it, check it out, be what is it about, and we'll be happy to have you there at the academy to talk more about chords and harmony and guitar. So yeah, that will be all for me and for us, I guess, Juan. And yeah, looking forward to seeing you guys more here in YouTube and Facebook.
Yep, and always consider joining the Academy. We'll be glad to talk to you in greater detail about the Academy as well. So with that in mind, guys, thank you for joining, for your time. Hope you have a great night or day for calling, and see you guys around.